Artificial intelligence is everywhere today, especially in art. Images, music, and even full movies can be generated in seconds. But this speed raises a critical question. Should AI-generated art receive the same copyright protection as human-created art? Today, two sides will present their strongest arguments. First, you'll hear why AI art should be protected, then you'll hear why it shouldn't. Let's begin. Hello, I'm here to argue that AI-generated art deserves copyright protection. Now, before you think I'm saying the machine itself should own anything, let me be clear. I'm talking about protecting the human creators who use AI as a tool. You see, copyright isn't about philosophical purity or moral worthiness. It's a legal tool designed to serve one purpose, to promote progress and maximize benefit for society. And denying copyright to AI-assisted works, that's not just unfair, it's economically catastrophic. Let's start with the basics. AI is a tool, just like a camera, a synthesizer, or Photoshop. When a photographer takes a picture, we don't deny them copyright because a machine captured the light. We recognize the human skill, their composition, timing, and artistic vision. The same applies here. A human forms the creative intent, crafts detailed prompts, guides the style, and performs the crucial act of curation by selecting the best output from hundreds of generations. This is a genuine creative input. The AI just executes instructions, and the human provides the vision. Denying copyright to these works isn't protecting creativity, it's punishing human ingenuity based on an outdated definition of authorship. Now, let's talk about real-world consequences. Copyright exists to incentivize creation. Without protection, there's no economic reward. Without reward, there's no investment. Without investment, innovation dies. Think about it. Companies spend millions developing AI models. Individual creators spend countless hours mastering these tools, building businesses, creating new forms of art. If their work can be freely copied the moment it's published, why would anyone bother? We're not talking about small-scale hobbyists. We're talking about entire industries: advertising, entertainment, education, medicine. Denying copyright creates a massive chilling effect on technological progress. Fewer tools get developed means fewer jobs get created, so society loses. The utilitarian calculus is simple. Protecting AI-assisted works produces the greatest good for the greatest number. Critics point to court cases like Thaler versus Vidal or the Zari of the Dawn case, where courts said that fully autonomous AI can't hold a copyright, but here's what they miss. Those cases still protect human creative elements. If a human arranges AI outputs, adds creative direction, or makes meaningful editorial choices, that work can be copyrighted. The law isn't saying no AI ever, it's saying show us the human contribution. That's reasonable. And the solution to concerns about training data? Compensated licensing. Create systems where original artists get paid when their work trains AI models. This already exists in music sampling, stock photography, and other industries. So we don't need to ban the technology. We need smart regulation that protects both innovation and original creators. Here's something critics won't tell you. AI tools democratize creativity. Not everyone can afford art school or years of technical training, but with AI, a small business owner can create professional marketing materials. A teacher can generate custom educational content. An indie filmmaker can produce visual effects that used to require million-dollar studios. Denying copyright doesn't hurt big tech companies. They'll be fine. It hurts individual creators, small businesses, and innovators who finally have access to tools that level the playing field. When we protect AI-assisted works, we're protecting the future of accessible creativity. We're saying that your ideas in this direction matter, regardless of what tools you use to bring them to life. Let me be clear about what's at stake. If we deny copyright protection, we don't stop AI. We just ensure that only the wealthy can afford to use it without risk. We strangle innovation in its crib. We eliminate economic incentive for improvement and development. The pragmatic choice is obvious. Recognize human creative direction, implement fair licensing systems, and let the law adapt as it always has to new technologies. Photography didn't destroy painting, synthesizers didn't destroy music, so AI won't destroy human creativity unless we make the catastrophic mistake of leaving it legally unprotected. Copyright protection for AI-assisted works isn't just legally sound, it's economically necessary. It promotes progress, protects human creators, and produces the greatest benefit for society. Thank you. That's our case. I've heard my opponent's arguments, and they all make the same fundamental error. They confuse economic convenience with moral legitimacy. I'm here to argue that AI-generated work should not receive copyright protection, because doing so violates the very foundation of what copyright is meant to protect: human creativity, dignity, and moral agency. See, copyright isn't just an economic tool. It's a recognition of authorship. And authorship requires something AI fundamentally lacks: rational will, intentionality, and moral responsibility. Let me explain why granting copyright to AI output isn't just wrong, it's ethically indefensible. Let's start with first principles. According to Kantian ethics, moral value comes from rational will and autonomy, the capacity to act according to objective morality rather than the mere programming or desire. True authorship requires this moral agency. See, AI systems are just complex code. They have no will, no consciousness, no capacity for moral choice, and AI cannot choose to create. It processes input and generates outputs based on patterns and training data. It cannot be held morally responsible for what it produces because it has no understanding of what it's doing. If an AI isn't a moral agent, it cannot be a legal author. And if we're protecting the human using the tool, we must ask, what creative act is actually being performed? Typing a prompt, clicking generate, that's not authorship. That's commissioning. You don't get copyright for hiring someone else to make art. The human provides a directive, but the AI performs the creative labor. Without moral agency in that labor, there's no author to protect. Now, let's address the elephant in the room. AI models are trained on millions of copyrighted works. Images, music, writing, all created by human artists. Most were taken without consent and without compensation. This is theft. My opponent mentioned compensated licensing, but that's not what's happening. AI companies scraped the internet, took whatever they wanted, and built billion-dollar tools on the backs of unpaid human labor. Granting copyright to AI output legitimizes this exploitation. This violates the categorical imperative, specifically, the principle that we must treat people as ends in themselves, merely as means to an end. AI developers treated human artists as free raw material for their machines' profits. They were used without dignity, without recognition, and without compensation. You cannot build an ethical framework on stolen foundations. My opponent wants us to grant copyright to output created by a system that fundamentally disrespects the very concept of authorship it claims to deserve. The hypocrisy is staggering. If copyright exists to protect creators, how can we grant it to tools that systematically violate creators' rights? Let's talk about the economic reality my opponent conveniently ignores. AI doesn't just compete with human artists. It destroys the economic foundation that makes human artistry viable. You see, a human artist charges based on time, skill, and expertise. An AI charges based on compute time. When an AI can generate 1,000 logos in an hour for virtually zero cost, what happens to the market? It collapses. See, this isn't speculation. It's already happening. Freelance artists are losing work to AI generation. Stock photography sites are flooded with AI images that undercut human photographers. Publishers are replacing illustrators with prompt engineers. Granting copyright accelerates this race to the bottom. It tells the market, yes, it's perfectly fine to replace human expertise with automated generation. Here, we'll even protect your ability to do so. My opponent claims that this democratizes creativity, but what it actually does is devalue human creative labor until it becomes economically unsustainable. That's not progress. That's destruction dressed up in a utopian language. My opponent's entire argument rests on the utilitarian logic that ends justify the means. But this is precisely what Kantian ethics rejects. Some things are wrong regardless of their consequences. You cannot justify an ethical wrong by pointing to an economic benefits later. Slave labor might be economically efficient, but that doesn't make it right. Exploiting artists' work without consent might fuel innovation, but that doesn't make it ethical. Copyright was created to protect human creativity and incentivize human authorship. It's meant to recognize the dignity of creative labor. Extending it to machine output perverts its entire purpose. The solution isn't to grant copyright protection to AI output. The solution is to preserve the integrity of human creation. AI output should be public domain. This prevents monopolistic control, stops exploitation, and allows human creativity to compete on fair ground. Protect what matters: human dignity, moral agency, and the value of genuine creative labor. See, the question before you isn't complicated. Do we grant legal protection to a system built on theft that devalues human labor and treats artists as disposable resources? Or do we draw the line and say human creativity deserves dignity, not just efficiency? Copyright for AI output isn't progress. It's the commodification of everything that makes art meaningful. Choose integrity, choose humanity. Thank you. You've heard both sides now. The utilitarian argument for economic progress and innovation, and the Kantian argument for moral integrity and human dignity. Should we embrace AI copyright to fuel technological advancement or protect the ethical foundations of human creativity? The